Kudus to Spurs, that needs talking about. But Arsenal going for SESKO and EZE? My God, what's going on in this window? I have warned that this could actually be a record-breaking transfer window, but these are proper, serious deals, these right now. David Ornstein has actually been talking about all of these from The Athletic. They're actually genuine. I cannot believe this transfer window and what is happening. Guehi to Liverpool, that scares the hell out of me as an opposition fan. But Arsenal are starting to make a move. And finally, Spurs have woken up and apparently are looking to do something. But I do stress just looking to do something. We'll talk about both of these. But I think on Spurs there, let's start with them. We haven't spoken about Spurs for a while. But Kudus to Spurs, a West Ham player to Tottenham Hotspur. I think the last time that happened, what was that? Scott Parker? Which tells you how rare a deal that kind of is. Like any player going from West Ham to Spurs or vice versa, that alone with the hatred and tribalism involved in them two clubs is something that I would never even think about happening. But Spurs broke into the Champions League last season. We're beating Man United in that Europa League final. And it's a bit of the unknown for Spurs right now. They're slow off the mark in the transfer market this summer as well. I don't actually think they had a plan. Is what it looks like. I'm going to just be honest. I'll give you my own opinion on this right now. I don't see Kudus going to Spurs. There's not in a million years a chance that West Ham are going to sell a player to Tottenham. The fans would not take that, would they? I mean, if you are a West Ham fan, if you're a Spurs fan, Spurs, are you accepting a West Ham player for one? And West Ham, where would you be with the ownership model of your football club when you're selling one of your best players, not only out of the club and not knowing if you're going to reinvest that money, but also to one of your biggest local rivals? That alone, ooh, that's like Man United taking a City player or vice versa, or Liverpool doing business with Everton. Actually, I go as far as to say, outside of Arsenal and Spurs rivalry in North London, is it for Spurs fans the next one down being a West Ham, or is it Chelsea? Who do you hate more? Get into the comment section, but like, come on. This can't happen, can it? But no, it is real. Like, Spurs are genuinely looking, and Romano has said this, to buy Kudus from West Ham. Now, we all know that Mohamed Kudus is up for sale. We've had bids come in. Unfortunately for Spurs, they're going to have to break their transfer record. Probably their wage structure. Daniel Levy, all the Spurs fans are looking at you right now. Are you capable enough of getting a deal like this done? We will see. But yeah, Kudus is going to be above 70 million, which is going to break the Dominic Solanke transfer record that Spurs have got. Are you willing to do that because your team is in Champions League? If I'm Kudus, I'm thinking, we're not going to win the Champions League. That's our only chance of getting back into Europe next season. So one season in the Champions League, is it worth it? Because Spurs cannot handle Europe and the Premier League. Last season alone proved that. And this season, it's not the Europa League. It's the best of the best. And I'm sorry, there are about 10, 15 clubs in that Champions League better position than what Spurs are right now. And that's with an unbiased head on. I'm being serious with that. And so if you're Kudus right now, you're looking at this deal, you're going, I'm in the Champions League, yes, but one season, then it's back down in the doldrums again. And where will Spurs finish next season if they don't really invest? There is a big chunk of that budget gone there on Kudus. It's a difficult one to judge, but again, like, just going back to the start of that, a West Ham player going to Spurs just doesn't seem right to me. Now, tell me if I'm wrong on that, but this doesn't happen a lot. Anyway, that is a potential deal. The other side of North London, Arsenal, well, it does look like they are now starting to move some heavyweights. That's what I would say. Like Benjamin Sesko, according to the reports today, are that there is now a compromise very, very close. We spoke about this on Sunday. Sesko now for in and around the 60-odd million mark for Arsenal. The low 60s is what their aim is for Sesko, because that would give them room to also go out, according to David Ornstein, in a separate deal to the striker and the winger, get Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace too. Whoa. Slow down a little bit there, Arsenal. Now, we know that it's Eze or Rodrigo, but Arsenal want a winger and a striker and then a playmaker? Is that what Ornstein is saying here? That Arsenal are actually not only in for Eze, but either Rodrigo or... not only in for Sesko, but in for Rodrigo or Eze as a playmaker and then a winger? Maybe Garnacho could still actually go and end up at Arsenal. I don't know if we're going off this. But Ornstein has said on this one, that when it comes to the Eberechi Eze situation right now, Spurs not as interested. They were rumoured to be interested in Eze as well. There's a lot of London swapping around going on here, isn't there, between them clubs down there. But obviously, Spurs are more interested, like we just said, in Kudus. So their reported interest in Eze isn't as strong as Arsenal's. Arsenal's is very strong, and he's definitely up there at the top end of their candidates now. But Ornstein did say that there is a possibility that Arsenal will have to sell players as well to get this done. And Eze going to Arsenal alongside SESKO next season, okay, then I'm starting to take Liverpool a little bit more seriously. I have posed the question constantly here on Football Talks about how Arsenal can compete with City, how they can compete with Liverpool, with what they have already done in the transfer window. Obviously, City with Reinders, with Shirkey, with Ain't Nori, Liverpool, Wirtz, Frimpong, Kirkez, looking to bring a striker in, potentially get Matt Gehi as well from Crystal Palace. Where does this leave Crystal Palace, by the way? You're on the brink of entering Europe for the first time, and bang, there goes half of your team. With looking like a potential move for Eze leaving the football club, potential move for Matt Gehi. Mateta hasn't signed that deal yet. Obviously, Adam Wharton is a high-profile player that is wanted by several clubs, including Manchester United and others in them Champions League positions also. It is a disaster of a season for Crystal Palace in a way, or what they can do. Like, they've got to enter Europe with some form of team anyway and give it as best go as they can, but the way that it's going at the moment, everybody's in for their players. So, Eze potentially between Spurs and Arsenal, more likely Arsenal. Ornstein saying Arsenal might have to sell players though, but this is a separate deal to the striker and the winger that Arsenal want. So you're telling me that they could be bringing in SESKO, Eze, and then a winger as well. That, like I said there, is how Arsenal compete with City and Liverpool next season. These are seriously big moves right now. And we are talking quality, absolute quality players here. City have brought in quality. Liverpool, absolute quality. This would be up there with the absolute quality again. I'd actually say I would favour Arsenal over City now and finishing higher in the league if they got these two deals done. That being Benjamin Sesko and this Eberechi Eze deal potentially happening as well. If Arsenal brought them two in, alongside obviously Zubimendi and Norgard, and obviously Azpilicueta, he's just a reserve keeper, but still, Arsenal's transfer business, then I feel leapfrogs City's transfer business, therefore strengthens them, and they will be the ones challenging Liverpool next season. The transfer window changes minds and outlooks of what's going to happen in the Premier League, doesn't it? But Arsenal's right now, if this happens, and it's a big if, let's not forget this hasn't happened yet, it's just a rumoured what's going on. But if they can get these deals done, then we're talking serious Arsenal next season, and potentially challenging for the Champions League and the Premier League. And I mean that in all seriousness. You only have to watch what happened last season. The injuries killed Arteta. He's covered himself with players that are leaving. Maybe, like I said there though, you've got to get a bit more depth in there. But it was that striker depth that killed them, didn't it? If you bring in Eze, he can play out wide. You bring in a winger, you're covering the Saka and the Martinelli injury situation. You've got SESKO there who's going to cover your striker situation as well. With Havertz there, and obviously Gabriel as well will come back also. You've pretty good. Zubimendi covers the Partey, and then you've got obviously Jorginho leaving, but you've got Norgard coming in as well. Clever business. Not bad at all from Arsenal. That puts them right up there. Talk to me in the chat, everybody. Let me know what you think about them deals. Are Arsenal title contenders if they buy Eze and SESKO? And can you ever see Kudus moving to Spurs? I mean, laugh at me if you want, but when do West Ham sell players to Spurs? Comment below, give the video a like, and make sure you hit that subscribe button for all your Premier League updates. This is Football Talks. I'm Adam. See you in the next video, everybody.